Chapter 12 of The Mystery of Cabin Island by Franklin W. Dixon. This Librivox recording is in the public domain. Chapter 12. The Notebook. When the Hardy Boys returned to Cabin Island, they found Chet and Biff awaiting them hungrily. "We thought you would never come," moaned Chet. "Quick, where's the grub? We have a fire all ready. Now for some breakfast." "You didn't find the stolen supplies, then," said Frank, bringing in a side of bacon they had bought from Amos Grice. "No sign of the food at all," admitted Biff ruefully. "No, I think the chap who stole that food took it away with him." "And ate it," growled Chet as he poured some ground coffee into the pot. "We hunted every place we could think of, down in the boathouse, under the trees, all around the cabin, but we didn't find the grub." "All I can say is that he must have been a mighty strong man to pack all that stuff away with him in one trip," remarked Joe. "That's right, too," agreed Biff. "I never thought of that. Perhaps the supplies are around this island yet. We'll take another look this afternoon." For the present, however, their immediate interest was the long-delayed breakfast, which Chet was enthusiastically preparing. He soon had bacon and eggs, bread, coffee, and jam on the table, and the boys attacked the meal with gusto. Eventually, their hearty appetites were appeased. "What now?" asked Joe. "I think we ought to spend the rest of the day exploring the island," Frank suggested. "We haven't really looked the place over yet, and we might just chance to run across those supplies." The others agreed that his plan was good, so they donned their coats and caps and set about a systematic search of the island. Frank, in charge of the hunt, outlined a plan of procedure. "We'll figure it this way," he said. "Suppose we were coming to this cabin to steal those supplies with the idea of hiding them. Where would we go? There are only certain directions we could go without ending up at a cliff or without finding ourselves in the deep snow at the top of the island. We'll try to put ourselves in the thief's place." "If it were I," said Joe, "I'd make right for that clump of trees over to the left. Those supplies were heavy. The thief wouldn't want to carry them very far, yet he would want a good hiding place." "That's right," agreed the others. "Well, let's tackle the trees then." The boys made their way across the snow-covered rocks until they reached the clump of bushes Joe had pointed out, and there they searched carefully, kicking away the snow at the base of the trees in the hope of uncovering the missing supplies. But their efforts met with no success. They hunted through the entire grove, and the only result of their search was that Chet stubbed his toe when he dealt a vicious kick at a rock hidden beneath the snow. "We're out of luck here," said Frank finally. "Has anyone else any good suggestions?" "Well," said Biff, "if I stole those supplies, I'd hide them down by the shore someplace, among the rocks. We'll give it a try. What's the nearest way to the shore from the cabin?" "Down that little path at the back." "Away we go, then." They left the clump of trees and plowed through the snow toward the defile that led down from the rear of the cabin to the rocks along the ice-bound shore. The rocks were covered with snow, but their round masses rose irregularly against the background of ice. "We have a job ahead of us if we start moving all these rocks," objected Chet with misgivings. "We're not going to move them," said Frank. "That would take us about 5 years of steady work. We're just going to kick the snow loose." They attacked the heaps of rocks, prowling around, kicking gingerly at the snow, dislodging it from the hollows. For some time their efforts met with no success, but at last Biff, who had edged a considerable distance away from his companions, gave a sharp cry. "I believe there's something here, fellows." The others went running over to him. "What have you found?" Biff held up an object he had picked up from the snow. "My foot bumped against this," he explained. "It looks like a can of coffee from our supplies." "It's the same brand," declared Chet excitedly. "We'll hunt carefully all around here," Frank decided. "Perhaps the thief just happened to drop that can of coffee as he was going toward the ice, but perhaps he didn't. It's worth making a good search." With this clue to guide them, the boys plunged into the search with feverish activity. The snow flew in clouds as they rolled away the rocks. After a while, Frank and Joe, dislodging a particularly large boulder, gave a yell of triumph. "We've found it!" The large rock had been placed carefully on top of two others, protecting a big hollow underneath. and in this hollow the boys found the 2 boxes containing all of the missing supplies. They had been well sheltered from the snow and were dry and unharmed. Chet gave a howl of relief. "Hidden treasure!" he gloated. "So that's where the supplies went. Come on, fellows, back to the cabin with them." As the lads loaded themselves with boxes, cans, and packages, Frank nodded his head with satisfaction. "I didn't think they had really been stolen. I guess this pretty well proves that someone hid them here just to get rid of us." "A mighty mean trick," snorted Biff. "If that can of coffee hadn't rolled out, we'd never have found the supplies," observed Joe. "I'd have thought twice before I'd have tackled that big rock." "Well, we found the grub, and that's all that matters," came from Chet. Joe was emptying one of the boxes when he came across an object that he knew had not been among the supplies originally. "I wonder what this is," he remarked, picking it up. The object was a small notebook. He glanced through its pages and found that most of them were blank, although there was a certain amount of writing on the opening sheets. "What's this you've found?" asked his brother, coming over. Joe handed him the notebook. "I'm sure none of us had a notebook like this." "It isn't mine," said Biff. "Nor mine," added Chet. Frank's expression brightened. "Say, I wonder if it belongs to the chap who stole our supplies. Perhaps it dropped out of his pocket into the box as he was bending over." "Perhaps the fellow's name is in it," suggested Biff. "Look through it and see." Frank skimmed the pages. "Here's where we get the goods on Hanley, I'll bet. If this is his notebook, we have positive proof that he stole our supplies." On the flyleaf of the notebook, he came across an inscription. It was a man's name, but the name was not that of their enemy, Hanley. Written across the page in a bold, flowing script, they saw the name J. Sparewell. "Well, can you beat that?" exclaimed Chet. "It wasn't Hanley after all." "Sparewell," mused Frank. "Where have I heard that name before?" "Nobody around Bayport by the name that I know of," remarked Biff. "Nor I," added Chet. They looked at one another, puzzled. Then Joe made a suggestion. "Perhaps Sparewell and Hanley are the same man." "Perhaps you've hit it," said Frank. "Sparewell. I'm sure I've heard that name before. Oh, now I know. Don't you remember, Joe? Remember what Amos Grice was telling us this very morning? Remember the story he told us about the missing postage stamp collection? Sparewell was the man who disappeared from Elroy Jefferson's home the day the collection was stolen. John Sparewell. That was the name. I remember now, Joe exclaimed. The very same. "What are you fellows talking about?" demanded Chet. "I don't get this at all." Biff was equally in the dark. "Who is Amos Grice? What did he tell you? What's all this about postage stamps?" "The Bender collection, John Sparewell's disappearance," exclaimed Joe excitedly. "Hey, talk sense," admonished Biff. "Come on back up to the cabin," said Frank. "We'll tell you all about it. This is sure strange." End of chapter 12.